We're now going to introduce the next type of way we answer particular questions like sets, and that's in what we call interval notation. And interval notation is a range of values, but it includes all of the real numbers between them. So for instance, if we wanted the range from 0 to 1, this would include things like 1/2 or 0.79 or even pi over 4. And so you can see the problem here is we don't want to have to list all of these out. And so we just want to be able to include everything from endpoint to endpoint. And that's the idea. There are some very, very basic intervals that we'll talk about. We have what we call an open interval, a to b, and this is where a and b are not true. They're not included in the answer, but everything just a little bit bigger than a to everything just a little bit less than b is included. We have closed, which is a square bracket a to b square bracket. So a and b are included, or are true. And then we have mixed, where we go a not included to b included, or a included, b not. Oops, just wrote that backwards. A is not, B is, or A is, B is not. And these are both mixed, where one is open and one is closed. We also have the single-sided, where we might go from -infinity to B, or -infinity to B, so this is included, this one's not, or from A to infinity, or from a to infinity. And notice that the infinities always get an open parenthesis. Infinity is never included. It's a concept, not an actual number. So let's convert some very simple ones to interval notation. Suppose that we have the range 3 is less than x is less than or equal to 9. Well here, and our interval notation always goes smallest to biggest, 3 to 9. The less than becomes a parenthesis, the less than or equal becomes a square bracket. So we get parenthesis 3 comma 9 square bracket. Likewise, we could do -2 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 5. Notice the -2 is smaller than the 5 and the x is in between. So again, our numbers are -2 to 5. And in this case, they're both square brackets because they're both or equals. Well, sometimes what we get is just an x is bigger than 3. So when we look at x is bigger than 3, we need everything bigger than 3. So 3 is the small number, and it goes up to infinity. We always put a parenthesis on the infinity, and because it says strictly greater than, we put a parenthesis on the 3 as well. And if x is less than or equal to -9, now the highest number we can get is -9, because anything bigger would be false. This means it goes to the left, or -infinity, which gets a parenthesis on the -infinity, and the or equals part gives us a square bracket. And so that's converting to interval notation if we have our answers expressed in inequalities.